What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Kyle, and a lot of you guys followed us for post-frame building content, and that's been kind of non-existent for a while, and that's because the building behind us was supposed to start over 3 months ago, and due to some permitting and zoning issues, it got delayed. So we've been doing other stuff, but I couldn't be more excited to be here. It's been almost a year since we framed up our last post frame. This is gonna be a huge shop, 72 by 104, 18 foot tall. It's gonna be awesome. We got a great job site. We got a big concrete wall to build on. And today we're taking delivery of all of our lumber. So really we have everything that we need to get started, minus our trusses for the framing, and those will be showing up quite quickly. So let's get into this setup of the wall. So what we need to do is get all of our dimensions. We need to get all of our brackets laid out. And that's the first thing we gotta do, because if we don't start perfect at the foundation, then everything else gets a little bit harder. So let's get into that. All right, so whenever we do a foundation wall, we work with the concrete contractor to make sure, and this is very important, something to remember if you're doing this or having it done, have the conversation. In a big building like this, it can be very easy for the guys to measure from a corner, mark their knockouts or install their knockouts for their doors. And then maybe if there's another door on the other end, which there is in this case, they'll just walk to the other end, go off the plan, and they'll measure it. The problem with that is walls are never perfectly accurate. So we always tell our guys, measure everything off of one corner. So this is the corner we determined is gonna be like our just rock solid. Everything comes off of this corner and everything gets measured that way. Otherwise, things can shift, because Greg pulled a tape and you said we were about a 3/4 long on this 104 feet. Totally normal, we'll take care of it, it's not a big deal. But if you were to pull from the other end, that door down there on the layout might be off 3/4. So we're gonna get our layout and everything started from right here, and we're gonna get our 1.5 by 1.5 inch. Oof.
You might wanna go.
Let me see. Yeah, well, let's shift it a little bit.
2 inches.
Let's just see how close to square this is.
That's fair.
Let's just do that. What Greg is referring to is because we have, it's 72 and like almost an inch by 104 3/4. We're actually gonna shift the building so that we're just slightly inset, and we have an inch to play in our trim. So that's about the max we can go is 1 inch all around, but we won't ever have to do that, hopefully. We'll see how square it is, you know? So I'm just gonna go ahead and get a pencil mark then, and we'll get this thing set up. Let's go like 1 3/4 by about 1 3/4. And let's set up the stabila. This just makes everything easy. That's close. Just go ahead and set up 1 3/4 off of the front wall. Okay. And then we'll check square back here. So we're just setting the plumb dot. You guys maybe have seen this, but if this is your first video, the LA 180 is an amazing layout machine, because we've got a 90-degree laser off of this 180-degree laser that moves and will find Greg's receiver on the far other end, and it will move in line with it, giving us a perfect square laser line on that far corner. So we could get our tape measures out, and trust me, that's totally doable, totally easy. But as you get to these bigger sites, you start to get more stretch, and you can actually stretch a tape measure, even a steel tape measure, or it can sag in the middle enough that even at distance, if we're an 1/8 inch accuracy, this is still a more accurate solution. So we'll get Greg set up down there and we'll see where this building's at.
1/4 inch.
Yeah, it's like right there. So that would be square, okay? Which you said this back wall was 72 and an inch?
Inch, yeah. Everything was an inch other than this front wall. It was 3/4 on the front wall.
Okay, so if we do that, then we're gonna be off 1 inch and, I mean, that's 1.5 inches. So we'll be off 1 inch in the back. I think we should shift it up. Yeah, we'll move everything so we're 2 inches off the front.
Down there.
And here.
1 3/4 here.
Yes, so that would be well.
1/4 inch moving it this way.
Yeah. I think I'm okay with the back being kind of
I think if we can
Well, we should try to keep this as close as possible up here. All right, let's go ahead and mark these with a pencil for now on the doorways. And this will give us an indication of exactly where, yeah, this doorway kicks in. When we do our framing in the future, we know across these openings where we got to be perfectly, and as well as it'll give us some marks to use for snapping lines. Okay, and we're gonna hit a couple marks down this wall for snap line purposes. In fact, I probably could just go to the door, 30 foot each way. Usually we're like, oh, we didn't mark all the doorways. We gotta set it back up. Yep, okay, let's go ahead and move this laser. Now that we have the front two walls here marked with the laser, we can move the 180 to one of the corners, re-zero back in, and get the other perfect corner. But we need to measure it. We need to know exactly where we gotta be. Yep. Burn a foot. We'll go 72.9. All right, so this is the new mark we just measured. We go lock on the receiver back to our corner, our locked in corner, our reference corner, we should call it. And then when that locks on, our straight line that we've already determined for the front wall will give us a 90, and then we'll check dimensions and hopefully good to go.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that's close.
Yep. So this is kind of what we had to determine. 2.5 is max. We can't go past 2.5. Well, we can, but it gets a little hairy. We've never had to go past 2.5. Like, nothing has ever been that bad. And this isn't bad because up front, remember, we're at 1.5 inches, 1 3/4. And throughout that whole front wall, I noticed we were a little bit pushed that way because the wall must have a little bit slight either inward or the corners are slightly out. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically shift everything so that we kind of find a common ground. Maybe we'll go 2 inches on that front corner and 1 3/4 over here.
3/4 over there?
3/4 over there, yep.
Okay,
if we shifted a quarter, then this back corner is the worst spot. We'll still be able to make it work. Not ideal, but our trim will flash over it. It'll be sealed, we'll be good to go. Okay, so here's what I would like, Greg, because we know we're not going to move this. Can you go down there and hold me at a foot? I'm gonna mark where 103.9 is, or 104.9, and then we know where to shift this over. All right, 104.9. All right, so let's move this. Since I seen your face, I try to move on. All right, good enough. It is perfect, I guess. Laser does take more time because you have to set it up, you move it versus just walking around with a tape measure. And I say that, but we're actually going to probably take a tape measure and just double check because technology is awesome. And God forbid ever anything would be off, and then we would go and just keep building based on it, and then something is not right. It takes 2 seconds extra to just double check. So we'll just grab a tape measure, check all of our dimensions, and want to grab that front one, Greg? Tape measure? Yep, grab that dumb end, and we'll just double check the square, make sure it's, you know, within 1/16 or something like that, because as we pull the tape, it's probably going to be a little bit different. 71 foot 9 inch, 103 foot 9 inch, 126 1 3/4. That's it. That's where they're at. Yeah. Oh, I can see that with my eyeball. All right, snap these lines, buddy. Good?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, 35.3 is what we'll do. All right, 35.3. All right, now hold it there. So instead of setting the laser back up to get chalk line markings in the back, we'll just measure off the laser line in the front, especially because even though we might get some movement in this tape, 1/8 of an inch on 104 feet won't really change anything. And this is a good way to do it. So we'll just measure it off the corner so we're at least in a square measurement. We're not like cocked to the side because that will change your dimension. So now I'm looking for 72.9. And that's where we can snap our line. You good? Yeah. So, right there. There goes all my chalk. All right, so we got our building, the 4 corners established. We got them all dimensionally accurate. 71.9, 103.9. That's because the 1.5 girts, the 2x that are on the outside of the columns, make up the full dimension. I actually get that question quite a bit, and I've had people assume that the building posts go at the full dimension, but that's not the way it goes. Not the way we build it. So run this tape out. Let's get this marked out. You're gonna burn a foot, so I'm gonna go, the first one will be not 7 10.5 center, but 8 10.5 center. So we're using a 4-ply column. This building was engineered. We actually have a set of prints that got stamped because this is a commercial property. And this is a 4-ply column, which means we don't have a center ply that we're gonna just sit right at 8-foot centers. We'll actually have 4 plies, and the second ply in will be the center of our truss line, the center of our post line, even though it's actually not gonna be center. We have to stay like that because all of our layout will be based off of the center of that post or that 2x, that truss, all of that stuff. So if that is confusing, I think it'll make more sense when we start building this out. Yep, hit me.
Could we do it 8-foot center, and then all that will change would be our purlin marks. So instead, like the 8-foot, we'll measure back 3/4 for our hole, but the 8-foot would go alongside and split the truss.
Yeah, we could do that, but then there's really no reason one way or the other. Like there's no positive.
Because it is a 4-ply column.
We can do whatever we want, dude.
It'll be center of the column.
We can do center of column, center of trusses, but we've never done that. So that's the only reason I'm doing it like we've always done it. 16, 10.5, 24, 10.5, 56. Good, okay, cool. And now you can go to that end, Cole, over there. 48, 10.5, 56, 10.5, 64. All right, everything is marked out on the walls. We have Sharpie marks, we've got chalk lines. Now it's time we'll get dove into our brackets so we can get them all laid out, get them set exactly where we want them with some Tapcons and then our big anchors. So these brackets, I think I said it, they're ICC rated. What that means, guys, is a lot of people follow the channel and they want to build barn dominiums. And then the question comes up, can I get a loan? Well, with these brackets, this is like an approved foundation system. It's been approved, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Yeah, those like government subsidy mortgages or whatever, these do qualify. So you could build a barn dominium. You might have to convince your local bank, but I think these are the only ICC rated bracket on the market currently. I have no doubt they will not be the only one forever, but we've been using them for 15 years.
I think so, yeah.
Probably, like circa 2011 at least.
Give or take.
Yeah. Hey, Greg.
What's up?
Let's get a check so we're smart this time on how much overage we're gonna have.
Make sure you're putting 3 plies where 3 plies go.
Yeah, these are all 3 plies.
Okay.
This is all, end walls are all 3 plies. And then look at the size of these brackets. We got these big old 4-ply brackets. 4 plies go on the long walls, 3 plies go on the end walls. Let's see if I can do more than 2. It's the trips back and forth that are the annoying part.
The easiest way to carry them is like this.
I would agree. Except for that's not the, I don't got the hand, I don't got it.
You don't got that grip strength?
It's my left wrist, dude. I can do it with my right, but my left is all jacked up still.
You grip it and you rip it.
Okay, I can do it. I might need a chalk line there. Do this before it goes away. Okay. Look at that. ICC ESR 4239. So there's your ICC rating right there. That's the first time I've seen that on the bracket. Go, 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 go. Yep, there you go. Just like that, dude. Don't over tighten it. Yep, you hear that noise? You're in the money. I'm not pushing down, dude. All right, guys, that wraps up the layout and bracket install. So it's kind of the most important part of the build, because if this ain't done correctly, then nothing else will as we go along with the build. So separating this video more so that you guys that maybe are learning this process, you haven't been watching the channel for a long time, I'm not putting tons of different parts of the build in one video. So for those of you that want to keep going on, we're going to do columns next. So I'll show you guys how we put together our columns, how we know the dimensions of them, what goes into that, because they don't just show up to the job site ready to go. So if that's something you're interested in, maybe hit that subscribe button, follow along with this series. I'm going to try to break it down somewhat, not super detailed, but it's been a while since we've done this. So maybe everybody needs a refresher, including myself, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna move on to columns. That'll be in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with us today for the bracket and layout install, and we'll see you guys on the next video.